Many of us can agree that visiting Africa, a land of so much history and physical beauty, is a rare opportunity. After all, there are approximately 7,350 miles and a vast ocean that separates us. So often, a student's chance to learn about African history and culture is limited to textbooks or television programming. With this in mind, we eagerly embrace the opportunity to travel to Kenya to visit Nairobi, the country's capital, and the rural communities of Eldoret and Tarbo, and a Maasai village located on the border of the Masai Mara National Reserve. Upon arriving, we were immediately immersed in a profound cultural and educational experience.
We are around here, and we feel we are blessed to have many visitors at a go, all the way from America to Kenya, and especially to our community. Feel welcome, and we love you.
Karibu means you are welcome in Kiswahili, but we quickly realized that Kenyans imbue even a simple greeting with their hospitality. Kenyans say karibu from the moment they greet you to the moment you depart. There is a constant reminder that you are welcome in their country, in their home, at their table, at their place of worship, and at their schools. During our stay, we had the privilege of visiting 6 educational institutions: a university, a high school, a rehabilitation center, and 3 primary schools. Each place showered us with their hospitality and helped us to achieve a greater understanding of Kenya's educational system and their struggle for progress. In Nairobi, we began with a visit to the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, where we discussed Kenya's system of higher education, which is mainly private. We made particular note of the financial limitations and the rigorous testing students must undergo to even reach this level of education. At LaSalle Primary School, we received a hearty welcome.
In charge of sports and extracurricular activities. This is LaSalle Catholic Primary School, where we endeavor not only to focus on academics, but a holistic formation of our learners. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you. When you go in peace.
Here we were able to observe the type of curriculum that is offered in a private school funded by a middle-class community. Next, we traveled to Makini High School.
I'm Moses Owino, I'm the deputy principal. So our school motto is coined in Swahili language, Fanya kwa makini, which means work with diligence. Yes. So diligence is our priority as we work. And also, apart from that diligence, we put priority number 1, integrity. Yes, so that is our motto. That is what really drives us in everyday work.
Our last institution in Nairobi was Kwetu, Home of Peace, a rehabilitation center for boys aged 8 to 14. Their program of rescuing, rehabilitating, and reintegrating orphans and young boys rescued from the streets helped us appreciate the level of effort and devotion that is needed to protect and nurture vulnerable members of Kenya's community. On May 4th, we left the busy traffic-jammed capital of Nairobi and traveled approximately 164 miles north to Eldoret. Established in 1910, Eldoret is Kenya's 5th largest city. It is nestled in the beautiful Rift Valley region, and its warm summer-like climate and unique high altitude is so ideal that an Olympic training center resides here, and Kenya can proudly boast that it is a city of champions. On our first day, we traveled to the rural outskirts of Eldoret on our way to Rift Valley. It wasn't long before we came across a familiar symbol that caught our attention: a Yankees cap on a young college student.
Bachelor of Education Technology. I'm a 4th-year student.
His friend had just dived off a cliff to raise money for school fees from onlookers. This encounter was the first of many where we would meet a student directly impacted by poverty and an underdeveloped system of public education. The next was Vivian. Vivian is 15 years old. She is a devoted student with high academic performance, but the week before our trip she was sent home for lack of school fees. We would meet many others in this similar situation over the course of our time in Eldoret. Our school visits in Eldoret were just as much transformative as they were educational. We spent the next couple of days immersed in Kenyan school life. We were afforded the chance to teach and learn alike and fully participate in all the activities with the children and the educators. Students at both schools are offered the traditional academic subjects of math, science, literature, and social studies. Similar to our educational framework, Kenyans undergo national high-stake testing. The stakes are, however, greater when we consider the performance on the national primary school exam determines the quality of secondary school for which a student qualifies. And the performance on the national high school exam determines much of a student's future. In the case of students aspiring to Kenyan University, the exam dictates both the university to which a student is admitted and the course major the student is eligible to study. Religious studies and bilingual education also make up an essential part of school curriculum. Both English and Kiswahili are taught throughout all schools in Kenya, affirming their community's rich linguistic tradition and diversity. Kenyans have to pay anywhere from $400 to $600 per year for the cost of schooling. Even in the couple of public schools where tuition is free, there is still the added expense of school transportation, uniforms, and lunch. Oftentimes, students must also forego schooling to search for ways to produce income, either by working on the family farm or selling goods at a local marketplace. $400 might seem like such a reasonable amount to pay for a year of schooling, but you really gain perspective when you realize that Kenya's per capita gross domestic product is approximately $1,500. Boarding is not a common practice for most New Yorkers, and coming from a country with a history of public education and the laws to protect it, it is challenging to grasp the idea that a child can actually be sent home and refused an education because of lack of means. Beyond challenging, it is heartbreaking because these children demonstrate such a drive towards education. There were no smart boards or computers. Even textbooks and chalk were in limited supply. The only thing that wasn't in limited supply was the students' eagerness to learn and/or dream, as it was described by these group of girls who shared discussions from their debate class.
A bit more about your debate class.
Every Friday we have different debates. Let's say last week we had of boarding school is better than day school. In boarding school, a pupil has a lot of time to read because when after classes he just goes boarding, wash her clothes, do bed, and come back to class. But in day school, one has to help a parent. Weekends, take care of cows, help their parents.
So you have more time in boarding school to focus on schoolwork.
Yes.
And if you differentiate between a day scholar and a boarder, you'll see that a boarder is the one who focuses than a day scholar.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Surprisingly, many of the students we met come from small towns like Tarbo. If even for just a moment a visitor might overlook the limited resources and the poverty of these schools, because their smiles and their laughter carry such an abundance of gratitude. It was only when we visited Tarbo that we were able to understand why. They are some of the lucky ones. An even greater cause for social justice is the reality that there are thousands of children that have never stepped foot in a school, like these children in Tarbo. And if there is one thing we have all agreed to, it is that Fordham University can have a great impact on the lives of our neighbors in Kenya. We wish to take this time to express our gratitude to all the individuals that made this experience possible. We wish to thank Dr. Diane Rodriguez and her vision of every girl is important. We would also like to thank Dean Virginia Roach and Fordham's Graduate School of Education for offering us the opportunity to travel to Kenya and participate in this educational endeavor. We also wish to send a special thanks to Chief Diversity Officer Rafael Zapata for his contribution to this experience. We hope that Fordham University will endeavor to continue its support for this project so that a continuous exchange of learning can be created between our two countries and our educational institutions. Asante sana. Thank you very much. Lastly, we want to express our profound gratitude to Sister Veronica Rapp and all the Assumption Sisters of Eldoret, and to the children of St. Jude and Holy Rosary. Nakupende. We love you.